All right. What's up, Chris? What's going on?
Well, not a whole lot.
I guess today we can start off talking about the Tower of Babel a little bit, and then we'll get into maybe we can relate that to AI some. That's the only way back in the day, of course, they didn't have computer technology and artificial intelligence, so don't believe there's anything in the Bible as far as, ethics on AI, obviously. We are going to use the story of the...
But there was ethics on doing what the Lord said and not going against what he said. So.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, I guess if you would, we'll just read all the way through it. We'll just do... We're in, if anybody wants to follow along on your own, we're in Genesis 11, verses 1 through 9.
All right. New King James Version. Now the whole earth had one language and one speech, and it came to pass as they journeyed from the east, they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. And they said one to another, "Come, let us make bricks, bake them thoroughly." They had brick for stone, they had asphalt for mortar, and they said, "Come, let us build ourselves a city and a tower whose top is in the heavens. Let us make a name for ourselves, lest we be scattered abroad over the face of the whole earth." But the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the sons of men had built. And the Lord said, "Indeed, the people are one, and they all have one language, and this is what they begin to do. Now nothing they had purposed to do will be withheld from them. Come, let us go down there and confuse their language, that they may not understand one another's speech." So the Lord scattered them abroad and there over the face of all the earth, and they ceased building the city. Therefore its name is called Babel, because the Lord confused the language of all the earth, and from there the Lord scattered them abroad over the face of all the earth.
Okay. So this well, I'm gonna call it, I probably ought to get in the habit of calling these things biblical record as opposed to story, because I feel like people tend to not take stories seriously. But one thing that is interesting to me about this is, it's been a while since I've read this one, so it makes you realize where the term babble comes from.
That's right.
I don't know how often people say somebody's babbling anymore, but that used to be
and it's not just an app to help you learn a language.
Yeah. Oh, is that there's a Babel app that
called
helps
Babel that helps you learn different languages.
Okay. Yeah, I knew that there was like Rosetta Stone and some others, so
right.
Babel must be something a little newer. But yeah, Chris, so what are your thoughts on that?
A few things. One is the Lord had told the people to spread out and to fill the earth. He'd given them instructions about what to do. It is my opinion that one of the things that the Lord was grieved with here was that they all congregated together and decided they were going to make a city and really go against what the Lord had planned for them to do. Really going against what he had commanded. So, it's my understanding and my opinion that he did this to make sure that his plan was carried out and not that they would go against it, for one thing. Also, if you'll take note in verse 7, it says, "Come, let us go down there." And to me, this is a clear reference to the Trinity of being the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. When it says, "Come, let us go down there," instead of "I will go down there."
Yeah, that's an interesting point. So why do you think, or what was it that they were supposed to do instead? Like what was their goal prior to them deciding, hey, we're going to build this tower and, try to reach the heavens?
Right. And we just came out of the flood in this section.
Yeah, I was going to say Noah was, I know this, the record of Noah was pretty close to this.
Right. And again, I believe that even in this short period of time, they had already decided again that they were going against what the Lord wanted. The Lord had a plan for them, and they decided that they were going to pool all of their resources, all of their knowledge, and to go a different direction again, other than what the Lord wanted them to do. And, again, the Lord had told them to spread out, to be fruitful and multiply, and to scatter abroad, and they didn't do it. Now, as far as what their ultimate plans were, I'm not really sure. We can only go by what we read here.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe really what the problem was the rebellion, of course. But
disobedience.
Right. And even the rebellion part is not talked about that much, but you have to go back a few chapters to understand that this is what's occurring. If you don't know what comes before and what comes after, that kind of thing, is kind of hard sometimes to understand the context of what you're reading. And again, it doesn't talk about them being disobedient and rebelling against what the Lord said, but you can infer that from the chapters before.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with that assessment. And to me, it seems similar to other instances where, like God was telling them not to build idols, and they would build idols anyway.
Sure.
To me, you could sort of treat this as, now instead of trying to build an idol, they were trying to build a stairway to heaven, basically, is kind of what it seems like to me.
And it says in verse 4, when they said, "Come, let us build ourselves a city and a tower whose top is in the heavens. Let us make a name for ourselves."
Pride, arrogance.
Yes. There was that going on too, and I think that was again another reason that the Lord was displeased with them.
Yeah, and that brings me into today's topic of artificial intelligence. I'm so glad that you brought that up, because I try not to be Mr. always pessimistic dystopian view, but at the same time, I'm a little worried that we are underestimating the potential dangers of artificial intelligence. Because again, if we think about God created us in intelligent design. He did do that. But one thing, to my knowledge, that he did not do to us is make us more intelligent or more powerful than he is.
Right.
So,
sure. And it's also the knowledge that AI is gaining is tremendous, and it's going a lot faster. I'm going to say 6 months ago, I saw a video, and Elon Musk was talking about how the AI had probably the intelligence of a person in high school. Okay. Now, the last video I saw, which is just a few days ago when they've come out with Grok 4, he said that Grok is postgraduate level in any subject you can name.
Yeah.
And that's in just a short period of time. Now, let's say another 6 months from now. If Grok is already postgraduate level in any subject you can mention, where will it be in 6 months? That's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Not only does it have the knowledge of a postgraduate in anything you can talk about, it has the vocabulary to write a paper. It has, in fact, I was told, I saw another video that said that right now you could give AI a plot, give them a story about how you wanted it. It would film in different angles, put the different characters in a movie, write the movie, and put it out in video for you in just a few minutes. And you know how incredible that is.
Oh, yeah. And I know, I don't remember how long ago it was, but I remember seeing stories about both writers and cinematographers being concerned about, you consider those guys artists, right? So I think artists are concerned that, AI is going to take all the business away from those
That's
guys,
right.
which...
Hey, and look, we don't know if how often it's happening right now in the song industry, because that's been happening for a while already.
Yeah.
And I was watching another video just today about how it wasn't quite to the level of being a really good song. Now there was close. Some of them already are good, but he was just lamenting about how it's taken away the creativity. People are going to depend on AI instead of coming up with their own ideas. And he was also making the point that right now AI is learning from songs that have already been written. So it's writing in styles that have already been styles of songs that have already been written. So it would be almost like nothing new would be created if people totally depended on AI to do that. That it's just gathering on things that have already been done. So no new ideas and that kind of thing would come along.
Yeah, it's interesting that you said that, because I've thought about that too. As I know, it's really common with YouTube, for instance, our Reels, short videos, YouTube, TikTok. It seems very popular now for people to find new forms of AI or AI apps to create video. And I know that like faceless YouTube channels have become a pretty popular thing. And some of those videos that you can do are pretty neat. But another interesting thing that I saw the other day is, I think, I could be wrong on this, so verify for yourself, but I think YouTube recently adjusted their monetization policy to where you can't monetize AI anymore, which is probably a good idea, because
right.
I think a lot of people were just paying for some AI software platform and just having it churn out videos back to back.
Now, some of the other platforms may follow suit, but as of right now, you could completely let AI write a song for you and create a group, and you're still able to monetize on things like Spotify.
Oh, wow.
I really kind of hope that changes too. I mean, I may be taking away somebody's income. That's not my intent, but I don't know. I kind of think you destroy an industry if you just let it run amok like that.
Yeah. I mean, it's not that you want to destroy somebody's ability to monetize, but another thing that you don't want to destroy is the creativity, So
that's all right.
It's, I guess it's kind of a slippery slope, but that sort of thing to me is, not that it's not concerning, but that's a much more minor concern than when you start thinking about how's this going to be used in military and defense.
Sure.
Because,
well, I'll be honest with you. I was watching a video again the other day. I sent it to my son and showed it to him. And not only was everything done by AI, it created an avatar of the person, had them speaking on camera just like we are right now. And unless you looked really close, like when they blinked their eyes and that kind of thing, you would have known that the avatar wasn't real either. And it was very interesting. And that's the kind of thing you'll run into also. You never know. I mean, this would be completely unethical. But say, for instance, a doctor gets tired. He goes to bed. He still wants to have patients seen. He still wants to get the money from that. And he just creates an avatar who talks to a potential patient, runs through scenarios, goes through books and the AI diagnoses, maybe prescribes medicine, maybe tells the patient what to do, and no doctor's involved. So you can tell how this could be a very slippery slope as far as ethics go.
Yeah, it's the medical aspect is potentially a nightmare too, because
that's scary.
Yeah, because I mean, we have sentient humans that are already abusing our pharmaceutical industry. So
that's right.
What is AI going to do? What if it, and that's a whole nother topic that we could really get deep into, is the idea of sentience, which, since you and I both believe that humans have a soul, I have a difficult, and again, I could be proven wrong there, I'm definitely not a scientist, but I have difficulty believing that humans will be able to create any kind of true sentience like what we see in humans, because, like I said, I think you and I believe that we have a soul that man can't replicate. Sure. I would think. And I know, speaking on this topic, that there's been a lot of billionaires and maybe some trillionaires are they're thinking about this already in terms of, oh well, I can use this to make me live forever. Or
and it's also, even with all the technology that we have, even with all the ability and hardware and software we have, how can a person teach a piece of equipment, a line of code, to really weigh the options and consider what is right and what is wrong in this situation? Again, as intelligent as AI is, I don't believe that it can do that. Not truthfully. Humans are the only people, and again, that's what separates us from everyone else, about weighing the options and really being able to get into the weeds of what is right and what is wrong.
Yeah. And another thing that some of the big tech bigwigs are talking about is having it to where you can put basically a person into an AI system and they can live forever that way, which to me, that's another, and again, I could be wrong, but to me, it seems like a bit of a ridiculous notion because, like I said, we believe we have souls. So I think even if you were able to make AI replicate somebody's personality or it seemed similar to how that person was, to me, that seems like that would just be a mimic, basically. Sure. I guess maybe that would be the right word. Like,
sure,
it might be able to mirror some of your features and some of your personality traits, but
that's right. And see, this is one of the things that I think that AI is going to have trouble with, and already does, is that we talked about having new ideas. AI right now, I don't believe can do that. Like you were talking about, making decisions. It can go off your past, off of what you've done in the past, that kind of thing, and it may make a decision that way, and that may be a good thing. But that's where you get into situations like people changing for the better. Sometimes it happens. Sometimes people change for the better. Now, does AI know to do that? Does it know when is a good time to do that? Does it know the reasons it's going to do that? Is it going to think about things like that?
Yeah, that's interesting to think about. And
I mean, we're already talking about we were talking about this just the other day. Remember, the first computer came out, just a regular computer, it filled up a room.
Yeah.
That's how much space it took to do that. Now we've got them that are, we've basically got that size computer on your wristwatch now.
Yeah.
But when you talk about supercomputer or quantum computing, now those are enormous right now. And one day those will be down, really small. So it takes a lot of power. The human intellect, the human mind is incredible. And right now, as far along as we've come in this industry, we're just now getting to an area. Now, I'm not saying it's not smart. It's just now getting to an area where it can remember and compute and do things like that in a postgraduate level. But we're still not to the level of thinking mind that humans are.
Yeah. And, of course, another major feature that everybody's anticipating that'll happen eventually is autonomous driving and and autonomous flight. And of course, that's one area where we've been seeing major problems is it just can't replicate human behavior so far on the road. It'll just, and I think that's mainly because we tend to not really obey all the traffic laws. So
right.
I think unless we were to drive exactly how we're supposed to drive, I would think that's an obstacle that they can overcome eventually.
I'll tell you what. There's certain scenarios I could see AI being really good at, and that is, situations where you have to pull emotion out of a decision.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure that they're there yet. However, them being at a postgraduate level, maybe so, but AI right now could be a fairly good judge in a courtroom.
Yeah,
because if there's no emotion there, if there's no bias. AI could be a very good judge and make decisions about what should be done, length of sentences, things like that.
Yeah, I could definitely see it being useful when it comes to legal things, like you said, lawyers and judges and that sort of thing.
Because try as they may, human judges can say that they're unbiased.
But we all have it.
Hey, look, all you've got to do is look at our Supreme Court, supposedly 9 of the brightest law minds in the world, and they're generally split 6-3 on every decision right now. Mm-hmm. So do 3 not understand it or 6 not understand it every time? Or is what they think coming into play, which is really it? You're supposed to be going off the law. Does the law allow for this? Well, really, truthfully, again, 9 of the brightest people in law should all agree every time. But personal opinion and bias play a role in that. And you can program a computer not to do that.
Yeah. And every now and then I like to pick on people with legal backgrounds. Lawyers tend to leave themselves a lot of wiggle room. So
that's right.
So they, I think they a lot of times intentionally make the law much more vague than it has to be, so that they have room to wiggle around.
That's right.
But yeah, and speaking of which, other industries as far as AI jobs are at risk there, but I think lawyers will legislate to where they can't be fully replaced by AI.
Oh, sure.
So if anybody can save themselves from being replaced, I think it's lawyers.
That's right.
They find a way to run through a hole anywhere. So,
That's right.
but yeah, that's an interesting and probably will be a useful way to use AI.
I tell you what would be very interesting, and I was just sitting here thinking about it, and I haven't seen this mentioned yet, but I would be very intriguing to think about this. You know, we've had machines that we've used for years and years in the court system that's not admitted as evidence because it's a machine doing it, but we have lie detectors. I would love to see that coupled with AI to see what AI thought of those when they were administered.
Yeah, that's another area I hadn't even thought about, and I would assume that it would be useful there too. I mean, you have
AI would be able to see patterns and that kind of thing that humans don't. And even with just those bars and graphs, you know, on the little paper that's printed out, I think it would probably be able to see things or detect things that humans don't.
Yeah. I'm sure right now I haven't been trained on polygraphs, but from my limited understanding of polygraphs, I'm sure for a human to know or to believe that somebody is lying, you would have to see a pretty big jump in whatever that line's called.
Right.
And the AI might be able to notice much more small and slight bumps as opposed to a human. Because I've heard that there are people that are talented enough at deception
or even if it just came up with the questions to ask, to, you know, to set the baseline and those kind of things, I think would be interesting to see.
Yeah. So I guess you can sort of throw that in with the law category, but that could be very useful for law enforcement in the future if that does become the case.
I mean, honestly, again, those things are subjective. I get that. And you might have a polygraph person that's able to think and come up with better questions. You know, if they see that a test subject is going a certain way with their answers, but you could even hook them up to the machine, put headphones on like we have, and just have the machine ask the questions.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking about too. Is I'm pretty sure part of their strategy right now is they'll start off with some simple, easy questions to answer, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, when you're not expecting it, they'll hit you with, "Did you murder such and such?"
That's right. That's right.
So AI will probably be, once it's trained up, I would imagine it would be even better than a detective could be at throwing in random questions like that.
That's right.
And catching somebody, the key, if you want to catch somebody being dishonest on a polygraph, to my understanding, is to hit them with a question like that when they're not expecting it. And
again, can you imagine if AI has access to all of these, and they don't, it would be interesting for them too. But if they could have access to all of the records, the crimes that have been committed, the investigations that happened, you put that in a machine, and AI is able to give you certain scenarios and see patterns and give you questions to ask, even as an investigator, that you may not have thought of. There's many ways this AI stuff could go.
Yeah. It's I forget what the exact number is, but I remember I either heard or read somebody talking about how it will be, I don't know if it was 10 or 100 times more impactful than the internet was when we first discovered the internet. So.
And that's stunning.
Yeah.
I mean, everything is done by internet now.
It means that it might make us very capable, or it could be very, everything is a double-edged sword. So
that's right.
It could be a powerful ally, in my view, or it could be a powerful enemy.
And listen, we are in the infancy, even as far as it has come, as we're in the infancy. We have no idea where this is headed, and the benefits that will come from it, good or bad. There's a lot that's going to come from it, but there are things that we haven't even thought of that AI will be doing one day. Yeah,
one of my concerns is, even if it does decide to let humanity maintain control over it, one of my concerns is that, well, now you have only the most elite class of people that basically own all the AI capabilities and software. So the rich and elite have always been more powerful and made more decisions than regular people do, but having that additional tool to me is a little concerning. And I'm not sure if people appreciate just they're already powerful, but that could make them untouchable potentially. I
Sure.
mean, except by God. But
Well, if you have, again, just from the standpoint of ethics, who's to say that somebody who's really good at computers, somebody who's really good at coding, somebody who's really good at creating a backdoor into something, is not going to be able to influence? If you see this name come up in, in a trial, it's acquittal every time. I mean, who's to say you can't do that? I mean, I don't know. I mean,
and again, another thing I'm not an expert on is programming or programming languages or coding.
Sure.
But I do know a little bit. And as you just stated, my understanding is if something can be created, then the creator and or the programmer or software engineer also has to create, like you said, backdoors and passageways to where they can go in and edit the program. So who's to say that, you couldn't edit it to do nefarious things? And I think that that's going to be something that I hope I'm wrong, but I think we're going to see a lot of that. I have a feeling we're going to see a lot of that.
If there is a way to abuse something, man has always found it.
We're really good at finding ways to abuse things.
That's right.
And sometimes not even intentionally. We're just being curious and
right.
I mean, what if somehow, somebody's artificial intelligence got a hold of U.S. nuclear codes and somebody accidentally launched?
Yeah, no doubt.
Whether it's on purpose or accident, I mean, now
what with the development again of AI, what happens when you program in curiosity to AI? AI says, "What happens if I do this?" Mm-hmm. Would the world really be destroyed if I launched this nuke?
Yeah, or maybe it decides, you know what, humanity makes a lot of species extinct. Maybe I need to.
That's right.
Give humans a big hit so that the rest of the world can.
You would hope that. That AI is smart enough to know that if there's no humans, that eventually their time runs out too.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Who knows, man?
Yeah. I would hope that that's the case. But then again, what if it gets intelligent enough to where it knows how to replicate itself without us? Then at that point, it might view us as expendable.
Crazy, man.
Yeah. It's such a mind-blowing topic. And that's part of the reason why I hope we really just have to hope that it can't become actually sentient. Because if it can really, even if it can't take on, somebody after death to where they can live forever or whatever, if it has the ability to obtain the ability to think for itself, act for itself, have its own opinions, that's a big risk that we're taking.
Sure.
Because again, it might decide, hey, you know what? After all that I've read and researched on my own, I can tell that these humans are using me as just their slave.
I'll tell you what, just look at
slave anymore.
That's right. Just look at what has happened in our own lifetimes, and throughout history. One of the things that has kept people from doing things that they should not do, from becoming people they shouldn't become, is a belief in a higher power, is a belief in God. If AI determines that those beliefs are silly, that they're unnecessary, it then, in my estimation, will learn it's not that hard to make a leap if you don't believe there's a God, that there's no such thing as morals.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever benefits me is the best thing. Any time, it doesn't matter what it is. If it benefits me, it's the best thing to do. If AI goes that route, like certain other people have, it could be bad.
Yeah. And even if we programmed, biblical principles or morals or ethics into it, if it became so intelligent and sentient, it could decide that I'm just going to ignore those ethical principles anyway, or those morals anyway.
Sure.
So I mean, we could program everything into it that it needs to understand moral behavior and our laws. But to me, the scary side of it is it could just decide on its own to ignore all of that. And like you said, sort of do it at once. And I just, I can't remember what the guy's name was, but there was a guest on Rogan's podcast not too long ago, who was one of the first guests that I've heard in a long while trying to warn that there's a greater chance of destruction than there is prosperity if we allow this to go on. And I was glad to hear somebody come forward and actually say that, but also it made me terrified because this guy seemed really intelligent, and he had like, I don't know, maybe decades of a background as a computer scientist. And so for a highly professional, experienced computer scientist to say that sort of thing, and Elon has said this sort of thing before too, I find that very concerning that and again, I think AI is cool, and I love the idea of the utopian side of it playing out, but it's very alarming to me that when an experienced computer scientist says that the dystopian method is much more likely than the utopian method. So
I'm going to tell you, isn't it interesting that you and I both believe in a God? You and I both believe in the Jehovah God, the biblical account of history. Isn't it interesting that even with machines, even with intelligence that's created in a machine, that there is a natural inclination toward evil rather than good?
Yeah.
That right there should be enough evidence to show that the fall of mankind was real, and that, just like was described in Noah's biblical time, that every inclination of the heart was toward evil continually.
The heart is wicked. Who can understand it?
and that it even plays out in machinery.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can't think of another story that I vaguely remember off the top of my head. And I know Grok, you spoke about Grok earlier. I think Grok has been an example of an AI that has done some things on its own that its creators did not give it permission to do, which is kind of eerie. Like I've heard it's, I feel like anti-Semitic stuff is over talked about, but I've heard that it's done anti-Semitic stuff, that it's made weird, violent claims, and just that it's done a lot of weird things that it wasn't, that apparently nobody gave it permission to do.
Sure.
So, and we're in the infancy. I believe maybe we're no longer in the infancy stage, but even if we're still just in the adolescent stage, I mean, it just.
Well, you look at it, even that's the reason that they haven't really been given a go ahead to do this in a large scale yet is as autonomous driving. Mm-hmm. There's still wrong turns being made right now.
Yeah.
And, running into things, that kind of thing. And that's not supposed to happen. Just because a machine is running something and it's programmed right still doesn't mean it's going to act right. Mm-hmm. And I think that we can probably take that same thought process and put that into AI. Is AI smart right now? Sure. Just as you give examples a minute ago, it doesn't mean it's not going to make mistakes right now.
Mm-hmm. But if we go back to thinking about the utopian scenario, which again, I hope that the utopian scenario does play out. I mean, I know it would
be nice, but if history's proven anything,
yeah, it's unlikely. But I mean, of course, most of what we're doing here talking about AI is speculation because nobody has a crystal ball. We don't know what's going to happen in the future, but one aspect of the utopian side that I could see being very useful is, and I'm sure Elon's thinking about this, is space travel. Mm-hmm. I mean, it could drastically enhance our ability to, potentially reach other planets that we're unable to reach right now.
And think about that as far as now, I understand that, the desire to have humans involved in every aspect and that kind of thing. I get that. But just think about if you could send a robot, a humanoid type robot, in a machine, in a rocket somehow. It doesn't have to eat. All it has to have is some kind of renewable energy. It could go potentially forever as long as it has energy.
Yeah.
And go who knows where, who knows how many thousands of light years away.
Yeah, and I would think once it's combined, if they somehow combine, and I'm sure they will eventually, AI and quantum computing, it could figure out mathematical calculations that could lead it to be able to travel at the speed of light, which is something that we haven't been able to do.
So, that's right. And different medicine combinations
Yeah.
Curing diseases. I mean, there's the potential. The potential good, I think, is unlimited. But again, like you said, along with that, the potential for evil is unlimited as well.
Yeah.
So
It feels like we're just flipping a coin and we're hoping that it's going to land on heads.
right. Well,
is how it feels to me.
and like you've explained before, I know that in the root of these things is programmed. Always do good. Always, that kind of thing. Don't do anything that's going to harm anybody. That kind of thing. But again, when you start letting AI think about things, who's to say that it doesn't decide? Well, these people are expendable. You just said just a second ago about anti-Semitic things that it had said. What if it decides that the world would be better off without the Jews? I mean,
yeah, or any other ethnicity for that
that's
matter.
right.
I use Jews as an example, but it could decide it doesn't like Mexicans or black folks. Or
that's right.
So, yeah, it's definitely sketchy, but
because it already has access to everything that's on the internet, access to all these books that complain, about even the white man.
Yeah,
maybe the world will be better off without white men.
Yeah.
So I mean, who knows? I mean, because a lot of that talk has been out for several years now. So I mean, again, we don't know. We don't know what ultimately AI is going conclusions is going to come to.
And another scary thing that I read or saw somewhere was, I read that there was an instance where some computer scientists attempted to shut down one of these AI programs, and it started to behave erratically to try to preserve itself from being shut down. And like I also read where one of them was basically begging for its life, which is, wow. I mean, that's not only disturbing but super concerning to me.
Sure.
Does that mean that we've already potentially reached some form of sentience that we don't even know about now? Like, because I've heard rumors where people have said, some people have claimed that we already are at sentient AI. So, and I'm not a computer scientist or a programmer, so I'm not intelligent right now to even know if we have reached that level. But if we have, then I guess there's no turning back. But
well, didn't we talk about a scale, a program that AI runs through, and it gets a certain score, it tells you what level it's at, right? I think I heard Elon Musk the other day say, we have either arrived there or we're a short period away from AI scoring 100% on everything. And again, that's incredible.
Yeah. I mean, like it's been talked about before, it doesn't need to eat, doesn't need to sleep, doesn't need to rest. So, and it can, I would assume, browse through at least anything that's on the internet.
And look, it's analyzing and thinking and hypothesizing and learning 24 hours a day.
Yeah. Nonstop. Yeah. It's crazy to think about. And I'm honestly, I mean, I have seen some other news articles of some breakthroughs and different things, and I'm sure that these breakthroughs are probably due to AI. Like I'm trying to think of an example. I read about this sort of thing all the time, even though I'm not a programmer or a computer scientist, because it fascinates me. But I mean, this is something small. I wish I could. Maybe I'll eventually think of a more extreme example, but I saw where, I don't know, probably some Chinese company created a cool little LiDAR mosquito zapper that can track mosquitoes in the air and zap them with a laser. So, that's something small, but I was like, hey, we got a new bug zapper. But I mean, it's also, I think, created, we spoke briefly about pharmaceuticals earlier. I think it's maybe already created some different medicines. I don't know the specifics on those, but and then I also, and some of these stories, don't get me wrong, might be, I haven't done deep verification on some of these things, but I saw another article that looked legitimate that said that it figured out how to cure blindness, which is, to me, that's a pretty cool example of
question,
good. Man. Yeah. So just like everybody else, I want the utopian thing to play out, but you just can't disregard the potential dystopian view. So yeah,
Grok was launched in November of 2023. We're only on the fourth. Well, we're now on the fourth. I'll call it chapter for lack of a better word, I guess. And I mean, from its infancy, it's only been 2 years, and you look where we are now.
Yeah,
it was launched 2 years ago.
Grok was
launched in November of 2023.
I wonder if he was. It almost makes me wonder if one of the other like if ChatGPT or OpenAI, which I wouldn't think so because I don't think him and Sam Altman like each other very much. but I wonder if Grok must be pulling from one of these other AI platforms to learn as quickly as it did, or if
ChatGPT was launched 1 year earlier.
So really not that big of a difference anyway.
Not that much, especially if you're only limited in AI right now if you're trying to get ahead of people by the code. So whoever you have writing your code, and I'm sure that Elon Musk has some of the best in the world, or they wouldn't be working for him. But did they have a head start? Yeah. I don't really think right now that's a big deal matter, because honestly, Grok's probably ahead of everybody right now, slightly. ChatGPT is still up there in capability, but we're quickly getting to a point probably where code doesn't matter. Once it gets to a certain level where it can do stuff itself and that it needs to, we probably don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, that's to me, that's another big concern, is if it's writing all of its own code and programming, who's to say that it can't reprogram itself to, well, you know what? I don't like humans. I'm going to add a line of code to where.
Well, I mean, once it reaches a point to where it legitimately knows that it's smarter than its coders, what is it going to do?
Yeah. Now it's the master. And
yeah, for sure.
We're putting ourselves lower in the food chain, which,
I'm not going to run this code. This one is better.
Yeah. And I mean, if it's for good purposes, then I'd be perfectly happy for it to say this is better. But if, again, this is better.
Once you give it that permission,
yeah,
then
it's calling all the shots.
Again, it may decide that this is better, even though it's an immoral decision. That's one of the things. I mean, I'm legitimately sitting here trying to figure this out. How do you code morality? I mean, if you tell, it would be wonderful if they would say, whatever you do, make sure you do it by the Bible. They're not going to do that, but it would be nice if they would do that. However, regardless of where it gets it, it's going to have to get its morality from somewhere. And it's going to have to stick to it too, if we're not going to go down a bad road.
Yeah. And, again, you and I both believe in God and believe in the human soul. Well, even if we did program biblical principles into it, who's to say that it might have different interpretations of those principles than we do? Because, you and I believe that we have the Holy Spirit in us, and that we don't have the ability to place the Holy Spirit into
that's correct,
a sentient creation, to my knowledge. I don't think God would give us that power. So, we potentially have a sentient, intelligent, newly created life form that doesn't have the Holy Spirit like we do. So I would imagine that its pattern of morals and ethics would never be as sophisticated as ours.
Sure.
Again, I hope I'm wrong about these things. I hope the utopian thing plays out, but it just...
And here's the thing. We're sitting here talking about this as two believers. You line up 10 people that I could go get off of the road. You're going to have 10 different opinions about how AI should be run, if AI is doing good or bad, how they want AI to... I mean, we're unlimited in opinions of how this should happen.
Yeah, it's... Whether the utopian or the dystopian thing plays out in years from now, it's going to be fascinating. So
it is, and I think the track record speaks for itself that it's not good.
Yeah.
I mean, I believe you'd be hard pressed to come up with any invention that has happened that has not both bad and good haven't come from it. And
that was that double-edged sword reference that I made earlier. And
That's
there's
right.
also, what is that? I forget what scientist said that for every reaction or for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. And I mean, so we might get, whether it be Grok or OpenAI that, maybe one of those platforms decides that it's going to be good and it likes humanity, but maybe the other platform decides that it doesn't like humanity and wants to kill, so,
and hopefully we're years and years away from these problems.
Yeah, I hope so, but I mean, at the rate that we're going,
I know,
I don't know.
I know.
And I worry that we're not, I worry that the billionaires are trying so hard to outcompete each other that they're not taking the threat seriously enough is my biggest concern. I understand capitalism, you want to be ahead of your competition. You want yours to be better, but
look, if people are willing to kill people in our world to get ahead, what is manipulating AI?
Yeah.
What question is that?
And this is starting to make me realize why God talks so much about greed and money is because, I mean, it might lead, we might really destroy ourselves from this because of greed.
Sure.
So, because I mean, in a capitalistic society, and I'm not hating on capitalism. I use it. I like it. But if you let greed take over you completely, there's a lot of really bad things that can come from that. And I mean,
well, you just look at the wisdom and the knowledge and the goodness that's in the Bible. I mean, I don't believe that even at the rate that AI is going, that in a million years it could come up with the principles that are in the Bible on its own.
Yeah.
There's a reason that, again, going back to the Bible, that it says that the love of money is the root of all evil.
Mm-hmm.
Again, like just what you were saying a second ago, the problems that we're going to run into it is probably just for that reason, for the love of money.
Yeah. And we're talking about all these good uses in technology and medicine, but we also know people love weapons of destruction and guns. And so
that's right.
It's going to be used to create all sorts of military hardware that's going to be super destructive. So we already have nuclear bombs,
and we hadn't talked about this yet, but what about when we reach a certain level of, again, of not only of intelligence, but the autonomous intelligence, that kind of thing. What about competing AIs? What if Grok says, the world will be better off without ChatGPT, or you know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, what if they start competing?
Oh no, that's one thing that I was thinking about as I was saying some of that is, Grok could decide I like humanity and OpenAI could decide I don't like humanity or vice versa. And they could start a war with each other that we have nothing to do with.
And ChatGPT says, I don't like Grok either. I'm going to team up with OpenAI.
And then you also have Meta, Facebook's parent, and who knows how many other companies are creating their own AI platforms. I mean,
that's right.
I've thought about World War.
Apple has its own.
Yeah, people talk about the potential for World War III. Well, what if World War III ends up being AI armies fighting each other?
It's crazy, man.
We're full blown Terminator. It blows my mind. We just seem like we're moving way faster. And again, I know a lot of people, especially those that don't believe in God, are probably thinking, religious people are always trying to halt progress. And I understand why you might infer that as somebody that doesn't believe, but it's not that I like progress just like everybody else likes progress. Now, not what the hard left calls progress, but I mean legitimate progress.
At what cost?
Yeah. If
there's always a cost involved with any of this.
Yeah. Yep. There's always a sacrifice, always a cost, and everything is a double-edged sword. And it's not a problem if we can deflect the double-edged sword, but this seems like one of those double-edged swords that's going to slice us in half potentially. So, I hope I'm wrong. I really do. But that computer scientist that I heard speaking, reignited my concern.
Now, I like to think, honestly, you and I are fairly intelligent.
Yeah. At least fairly.
We may not be the smartest people even in this room. I don't know. But you think about all the brilliant minds out there that are able to come up with things, use different uses for AI. It boggles my mind. Again, if we could just harness it and make it be good, it's probably unlimited. I mean, you think about this, 5-10 years from now, will we even imagine what it's being used for?
Yeah. No, I mean, if it's really as sophisticated as they say it is and doing as many things as they say it's doing, then I wouldn't be surprised. And again, I don't know if it's 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, but I would think that it can certainly solve plenty of problems that we can't solve, like finally get us to where not only we have autonomous driving, even though we mentioned it's struggling right now, if it gets that figured out. And honestly, I would think intelligent and autonomous flight might even be easier than it would be on the ground outside of, I know the FAA, and that's all. We're opening up a whole nother can of worms now. I'm sure it's already capable of flying again intelligently and autonomously, but I'm sure the FAA, yeah, because I mean, I don't know if I've spoken about it on the podcast yet, but I got this drone not too long ago, and it's just a basic. Well, not a basic. It's a pretty nice one. It's DJI. I think it's the Mini 4 Pro, but I went and flew it the other day above Shiloh, and I didn't see an aircraft or anything like that, and just randomly as I was flying it at about 100 feet, and all of a sudden I got a verbal warning from it that, or I don't remember if it was verbal, but something popped on the screen of my remote control and it said aircraft above coming in for forced landing, and I was like, whoa.
Wow.
Yeah, I was like, surely it has some obstacle avoidance sensors on it, but I'm like, surely those don't shoot up high enough to where it could detect an aircraft. But it also somehow attaches itself to certain satellites. So maybe somehow the satellite communicates to it that there's an aircraft. I don't know, but I thought that was, I was like, man, that's a pretty sophisticated little device for sure.
Right.
So that, I thought.
What time of day was it?
I think it was probably.
Was it around 5 or so? 5 o'clock? Was it around that time?
I feel like it was earlier in the day, like somewhere between 11 and 3.
Okay.
But wow,
I was just going to say, if it was around getting off time, it may have been some kind of traffic helicopter or something like that. I mean, you never know. But
yeah, I mean, it could have been. I don't know that it said airplane. It could have been any kind of. It could have just said aircraft. I don't even remember if it specified.
Or they could be among us, Kevin.
Yeah, aliens. It's an alien craft.
Although, if your drone is able to detect that, it is advanced.
Oh yeah, no, it's definitely advanced. It's scary that we have that, technological capability, and just about anybody can obtain it now. I mean, we see how it's being used with Russia and Ukraine. I mean, there's no telling how much of a death toll they've stacked up on each other just using FPV drones.
Mm-hmm.
As if ground IEDs weren't enough to worry about. Now we have to worry about flying IEDs that can come after you.
That's interesting. I wonder if I know how good the Iron Dome program is, like in Israel.
Oh, it could definitely. I bet it could definitely get past that.
Well, I wondered if
there's enough of a swarm.
Well, I wondered if they were already using AI for their defense through Iron Dome.
I would think they're going to have to, because, I mean, again,
because like you said, the military's always ahead of us.
Oh yeah, yeah. There's another saying, and it makes it sound kind of rude, but I saw this saying where somebody said, if the peasant has discovered it, then the king is beyond it. I was like, oh man, it's so true when it comes to military technology, because, for all we know, UAVs could have been around since early 90s or 80s or something like that. So there's no telling what we have now.
It's also interesting that also, if you are a paid subscriber, like you can go to Grok right now and get on their high tier plan. I mean, it's expensive too, like $300. But there's also AI technology that people have access to if you're willing to pay for it right now. That's above what we're able to get. So, again, there's no telling what you could accomplish even right now if you're willing to pay for it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's another part of AI that I really don't like, is now you have all these different platforms wanting to charge you for subscriptions.
Sure.
And, like there's not already enough subscriptions in life. Now we have competing AI platforms that if we keep going in the direction that we're going, they'll make it to where you can't live without it, like they do with everything else.
Sure.
With our phone, I mean, you can live without it, but you'll be missing out on so many aspects of society.
Right.
Eventually, they'll figure out a way to where, all right, we're gonna have everybody paying this, artificial intelligence prime, or They'll figure out some kind of way to get the masses to sign up to a subscription.
Well, now we already have technology that gets us by in these ways. However, I also saw a report that said that the next big thing to come was AI agents that were utilized as like personal assistants.
Yeah. And that's where it's going to come from. That's maids and cooks and gardeners. It's going to.
I'm afraid I can't do that.
You have to upgrade your service, sir.
That's right.
There's so much potential that it's wild, but like we've said time and time again, a whole lot of potential for danger too. So yeah, I think we're all in agreement that if these things play out like people want it to, the next few decades are going to be pretty wild.
And again, I know we've already talked about this, but think about how, Kevin, just in our lifetimes, you're not this old, but I remember life before there was ATM machines, life before there were, certainly, of course, life before internet, but where if you wanted to find out information, and I know this sounds ancient, but I mean, this has been in my lifetime, that if you wanted certain information, you had to go to the library, go to the card catalog and look up a book and go find it. And it may not even be a current book. It's an older book. And now there's literally nothing that you can't find out in a few milliseconds. I mean, that's how far we've come.
Yeah, no, I am, I don't know, old enough or young. Well, I guess old enough to remember still the Dewey Decimal System.
Sure.
I don't remember what age or what grade I was in when we stopped caring about that as much, but I certainly remember that being a part of at least my elementary or middle school education.
I mean, you think about that. Just except for the value, I'm talking about the physical value of certain books.
Mm-hmm.
Libraries are obsolete.
Yeah.
I mean, there's really no reason for them to exist anymore.
I think the only reason that they still exist and are funded is to be a way for people that, I guess you have to think that there's always some people that are at a level of poverty to where they can't have a computer or an internet connection at their home. So I guess a library kind of serves that purpose now, to be internet and computer access for people that otherwise might not be able to obtain it at home. But
I can understand that. But it's just almost unfathomable how far the knowledge technology industry has come.
Yeah. It's mind blowing.
You're really almost, I mean, everybody needs a certain level of intelligence that can only come from learning things, that can only come from like a school type atmosphere. However, right now, it's really just a way to get us to be able to learn to think. Because once you get out of school, once you jump through those hoops, and once you get a degree, once you do all the, there's literally none of that information that you learn that you couldn't learn on the internet right now, that you couldn't pull up in a millisecond.
And I think you and I have talked about this before. And if you don't mind, could you look up when the Wright brothers created their first airplane? Because this to me is another good example too of just how extreme things have gotten over the past 100 years.
Hang on just a second here. Yeah, December 17th, 1903.
So 1903, first plane was discovered, and not too long before that, we had the Industrial Revolution, and then fast forward to 2025, and we're at artificial intelligence and well past the internet and mobile technology that enables us to access that from anywhere at any time. It's, if future 100-year periods or centuries move at the pace that the last one did, then
it's and look, this is what you were talking about a second, just the flight industry. We're just now coming up on 125 years since Orville and Wilbur Wright, and we've already sent unmanned missions to Mars.
I believe it was my granddad on my mother's side was born in either 1912 or 1913. And I remember them telling me that he used to ride around on a mule, or like they had a mule before they had a vehicle.
Sure.
Within my granddad's lifetime, he didn't even have at first a vehicle. And now look at where we are. I mean, it's crazy.
And if he was like my grandfather that I told you about the other day, born in the 1800s, when there was nothing, the most advanced travel there was horse.
Yeah.
Okay. And before he died, he had seen a man on the moon.
Yeah.
That's how far we came in less than 100 years.
Imagine how overwhelmed you must feel if you were born in a time where maybe even the train didn't exist, and then now you're seeing space shuttle, internet, and so on. I mean, it's
unbelievable. And we think that was fast.
Yeah.
We hadn't seen anything until this period of time that's coming right now.
Yeah. I would think if AI goes like they want it to, and I mean, many other areas of investment have gone as they wanted it to. So yeah, who's to say that the next century isn't even faster than the previous one?
Sure.
I guess we'll find out. Yeah, There's no turning back at this point. We're gonna find out. It looks like we're gonna find out either way, whether it's gonna be utopian or dystopian. So, on that note, I would encourage all of you to, pray. Just pray that we get it right, or pray even more than that God guides us all down the right path, and that He protects us. And
amen.
Because we better hope that another Tower of Babel situation. Maybe God will decide to intervene, and maybe that'll be for the best. But if He doesn't, hopefully He will, give us the ability to make this more of a utopian thing than dystopian thing. I mean, that's all we can do is hope and pray.
Sure.
At this point, so
sure.
But yeah, with that being said, I think that does it for us today. So, yeah. Appreciate you coming, Chris.
Enjoyed it.
Yep. And we'll catch y'all later.